All right, hello everybody, hello, and welcome back to Solo Sport Rush. We are finally getting into this final match of this weekend. It has been quite a long weekend, but we are finally getting it over with. And currently, we have a match between Tonels and XenoPenguino. Some very far apart seedings. I mean, we've seen a lot of these matches where the seedings have been pretty far in between, but I think this one might take the cake for the closer seeding. But currently, we do see a hybrid 1 ban and a race 2 ban, some interesting bans, and immediately going into race 4, kind of an interesting choice, especially given that we see a race ban from Cena, but potentially it might have just been that they're trying to avoid the physical picks. I couldn't blame them completely. We've seen especially something like Race 2 where it's a very hit or miss when it comes to these players. I mean, obviously you have these higher seeds which are able to just completely demolish these stamina picks and more of these smart physical picks. But then you get this other side of players, especially for someone around the seeding of Xeno around 72. They've definitely struggled a little bit with the qualifiers, whether that just be due to accuracy or just due to physicality. So I think it makes sense to see one of races like these ones to be picked immediately, just because it is probably one of the lowest physicality ones. And Rice 2, Rice 1 probably being the highest physicality. But going into this dump pick, so far we see a really impressive accuracy from Tonels. I mean, it is very early on, but it's still pretty impressive to see, especially given that the entirety of this file is pretty continuous. It kind of just stays like this. There isn't really anything too drastic. Of course, these dumps kind of fade in, fade out, increase in intensity and then decrease. And you also have that factor of technicality. But even then, both these players just doing really well for themselves. I don't really think there's too much that can really go wrong in a pick like this one, especially if both players are going to be staying consistent. I mean, especially with this accuracy lead coming from Tunnels, really the only thing that's stopping Xeno from gaining that lead is that accuracy. And it's apparent that a miss is going to be needed. But I would say, especially for someone around Xeno's seeding, these are some really good scores. I'm wondering if maybe they're a little bit more, I guess, focused in certain skill sets, such as maybe skill sets like these ones, which are more kind of free flow, less physical. I mean, you see these tricky transitions with even some of these 3-note anchors, which they might not be too apparent when you play, but they can easily trip some players up. And I think Xeno tripping up on one of those trails, definitely not the best thing to happen, but thankfully it is kind of early in the match. I mean, that score lead is going to grow for Talos by a lot, but it's pretty recoverable still, especially given that it isn't a 50k lead. But Talos will be taking that lead very early on. I mean, an unfortunate drop from Xeno. I mean, there wasn't really too much that they could have done in a situation like this where they were getting out-acted by basically 200 perfects, which I think maybe later on in the tournament that might seem like not a lot, but especially in a match like this one where all the picks are pretty. But it looks like we'll be seeing LN1, our explanation pick. I think a pick like this would make sense, especially for a player like Tonels. I mean, I think a lot of people know how good Tonels is, and especially in a round like this one, where it's not really based on that physicality, unless we are on the lower end of the seeds. I mean, for all these players, probably like within like the top 30 seeds, top 40 seeds, I would say, it's going to be very, very easy to hold FCs across the board and potentially even just be able to SS a lot of these files. But especially with an LN file, I mean, even some of the higher seed players might have trouble trying to hold their accuracy on this one. But Tonels has shown their ability to play basically whatever you throw at them, especially in these lower rounds. And I could easily see a pick like this one favoring Tonels a lot. I mean, we already see that lead coming in. I mean, Tonels holding a 99.8-ish, and Xeno holding like around 99.45, definitely struggling a little bit in that accuracy aspect, which it's kind of to be expected, especially with a pick like this one, where it focuses a lot on that finger control aspect and that ability to hold all of these releases and even just release them on time, which is so much to kind of handle, especially on an easy pick like this one. I mean, it is the least physical probably in terms of a lot of these picks, but it's still really tricky to hold. And we see that really be apparent with Xeno dropping a lot within this kind of out of the first chorus. One of those misses kind of coming in. Tonels just destroying this pick. I mean, I kind of predicted Tonels to be able to score very, very well on something like this one. I mean, Tonels is really good when it comes to a lot of these LNs, just in general as a player. I mean, the only thing Xeno's just gonna have to hope is that it doesn't cross a 50k lead. I mean, just alone by the lead from here on out, and just the lead that we've already seen. I mean, it is passing that 50k lead, but the most that Xeno's going to want to be doing is trying to minimize it as much as possible, but that's definitely not going to be happening. I mean, we've already passed the barrier of that 50k lead. I mean, obviously more lead for Tonels isn't going to really matter too much, but it does make it a lot harder for Xeno to kind of make a comeback. Especially just struggling on these releases, these coordination aspects. And Tonels a whole percent and a quarter ahead of Xeno. I mean, it makes sense that a lot of these, I guess, lower seeds have a little bit of trouble on these islands. I do feel like it is very kind of 50-50 whether they can play it. But joining me in the commentary booth is going to be Darkmaster. Hello, Darkmaster. How are you doing?
Everyone. Sorry for the late arrival. I thought 21:30 was a little bit later. I'm happy to be here though.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't missed too much yet. We are pretty early on. I mean, it is the second pick. Thanos with a 993.
It seems to be a pretty insane matchup between the seeds here.
Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier, but I think out of all the matches that we've seen so far, I think this one might be the furthest apart in terms of seeding. I could be wrong though, but it is definitely very, very far apart. Looks like we'll be one too though. I think a pick like this one makes a lot of sense. I would have expected LN3 though from Tonels, kind of seeing how they did on LN1.
Okay, I see. Yeah. This LN pick is like I saw this earlier. I think it was more like coordination based.
Density. I mean, it has some coordination aspect to it, especially given that it's like a very, very early round.
Yeah, it had some funny shields.
But yeah, we'll be going into this next LN. I really wonder how a pick like this one's gonna affect Xeno, especially just given how much they struggled within this last pick, and this one basically being around the same length. Starting off early off, nothing too much. We will see a little bit of like that kind of coordination aspect. Uh, I guess I would say it does build up a little bit as we do get into density sections, so maybe not too much of a struggle for Xeno right now, but it definitely can become a big struggle as we go on with this file. The early miss is definitely going to be very dangerous. It is outside of the 400 combo range too. Probably would have wanted that a little bit earlier, but there isn't much that they can do. I got.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
You can go on, go on.
Both players seem to be holding on nicely here, but it's just kind of this huge accuracy gap that you know, finding some tough misses here. Well,
Yeah, those are some unfortunate misses, and I start to understand why Tonels might have gone for a pick like this one, especially given the accuracy they're holding. I mean, it's clearly apparent that Xeno is struggling a little bit with these LN picks, but I think Tonels probably trying to capitalize as much as they can on that score difference to try to end the match as early as possible for them.
yeah, I believe the score difference to win on the third round is 200k.
I mean, yeah, I mean, currently the score difference needed is 250k, but obviously, like, as the longer this match goes on, the lower that bar is kind of set, and it really makes it a lot harder to recover. I mean, especially if you get over that 50k deficit, it makes it a lot harder to recover. I mean, even if like you're in that 40k area and you make it far into the match, it really just depends if your opponent is able to just do good on that final scoring.
Yeah, it's kind of hard out here if you're matched up against like a crazy seed like this.
Yeah, and especially against someone like Tanos, who is just so well rounded in general, and especially within the accuracy aspect as well, there's just not really much that Xeno can do. I mean, they had to play two back-to-back Ellens because I mean Tunnels is going to capitalize on the picks that they can do best on and get the most score.
So I think considering that Tunnels has gone for 2 on picks here, and yeah, I figured they would go for a Rice pick.
That's an
And
interesting risk pick. I mean, I guess I kind of understand it, especially given that they went for Rice 4, which is probably the easiest out of all these Rice picks. Maybe not the easiest to act, but definitely the easiest physically. Maybe the strategy being to see if maybe one of the more slightly physical picks can work in their favor.
I don't think I saw this one when I was commenting earlier.
But we'll be going into Gaviscon, our more abrasive technical file. A little bit on the physical side for this pool, I would say. Probably one of the harder races. I'm interested to see how this matchup goes.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the 4th map.
Yeah,
If Xeno does loses over 26,000 points to Tunnels here, is that KO?
no, they still have a little bit of they have slight breathing room, I believe, even if they lose like 50k. So I think given that they might be able to survive off one more, it really just depends how a pick like this one goes. I mean, I don't expect someone like Tanos to choke too much on this, but so far we're seeing a really, really close gap between these two, surprisingly.
Yeah, honestly, Xeno is holding on very well here, and he had that tiny lead earlier.
Yeah, that lead did kind of break off. So I mean, we see as these patterns start to get a little bit more technical, it does seem like Xeno's starting to drop that accuracy a lot more from like basically hundreds of points away, like maybe even hundreds of points of lead, or just tens of points, now turning into thousands in favor of Tunnels now.
Yeah, I think this might be just like an accuracy gap here or a ratio gap.
Yeah,
And
it's both a ratio and just a great cup.
oh, yeah, finding a miss here from Xeno. It was
I find it hard to see how Zeno's gonna be able to close this gap. I mean,
right.
we already saw that they're still on the lower end of this. But especially with this ending coming up, I really fear that they might just get a miss in this section, pushing that lead even further to Tanos, especially with how tricky these trolls are.
Yeah, I mean the miss was a clean break, but I'm just not sure what to do or what Xeno could do against such a like a domineering seed such as Tonels here.
Yeah, I mean, that miss definitely helped a little bit, but like, that's a 146K lead.
So I believe, yeah, on the next map, uh, if Xeno loses by 4K, I think it is gonna be KO.
Yeah,
Oh, I know. I guess no, we're doing bans now.
yeah. All the rices are going away. That's interesting.
That is kind of interesting to see. I don't believe I saw LM3, but the hybrid ones I did see were pretty short, if I'm not mistaken.
I expect Tunnels to go for LN3. Yep, as I say that, it comes out on command.
Right.
I think this one makes a lot of sense. I mean, Tunnels could go for the Hybrid 2, maybe. Or, I mean, I guess Hybrid 2 or Hybrid 3 work fine. But I think LN3 is probably the best bet. But yeah, going into our technical LN pick. There's just so much to worry about first when it comes to Xeno. I mean, we already see a 146K lead. And like, if they lose this drastically, like we've been seeing on all the other LNs, it's gonna immediately push them out of this match. But at the same time, even if they win, how much are they gonna even win by?
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's much Xeno can do here with such a like established lead like that.
Yeah, especially on an LN pick like this one. I mean, it doesn't have the density that we see in LN2, but it does have that coordination aspect from both LN1 and LN2, and it even adds a lot more layering in that technicality that we kind of saw in LN1 with some of those releases.
Yeah, this has some shields in the mix. Or I guess I wouldn't they're not they're kind of spaced apart. I guess I wouldn't really consider them a shield.
I mean, they're just very slow shields, slow jacks. I think either work. I start to kind of see why Tanos didn't go for a pick like this one right away, especially with that accuracy. I mean, it's still a
Yeah.
very good score nonetheless, but obviously you wouldn't want to risk it right away.
Yeah. I think against maybe like a stronger opponent it wouldn't have went so well.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends. I mean, there's a lot of good players in this tournament. It really just depends on your opponent. I mean, any of these picks could work against anyone. It really just depends who you're against. But in a matchup like this one, it's very much in favor of Tanos.
Yeah, Xeno's kind of dipping into near the sub 99 range here. Oh, finding a miss right here, which will
Yeah,
be
definitely. Oh,
oh Yeah, this is gonna be brutal for him. It's gonna expand the score lead even more now, where he can't really afford that.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like this lead already being the 146k lead. I mean, it does seem like right after this, Nino's probably just gonna be kicked out. That lead just maximizing itself, especially as he is below that 50, that Forger combo.
Yeah, it's I would see how a map like this is kind of hard to keep up with in terms of combo.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like these releases. I mean, if you're not proficient in Ellen, it just becomes so much harder. But that will be concluding this match. Tonels will be winning with a 196k lead. The score difference being a 100k, but I mean, we already saw that lead just earlier on.
Yeah, it was a good effort,
It
but
was a good
uh,
effort, but there just wasn't much that can be done.
right.
But that does conclude this match, and that also concludes all the matches for this week. I believe showcase for round of 32 will be sometime around 14 UTC, give or take. It really just kind of depends, but I think it should be around that ballpark.
Yeah, that sounds correct. We'll be moving on to the losers bracket here, but Tunnels will be moving on to our round of 32.
Yeah. So congratulations to Tonels. We'll have to really see how Xeno does in the losers bracket. I mean, anything could happen there, but I think we could end things off unless you have anything else to say.
No, not really.
I've been your commentators. No, thank you, Log, for streaming this match, and we'll be catching you next time.
Yep. Have a good day, everyone, or I guess good night, depending on where you are.